did you have any contacts from special services who tried to contact you? And what about your family? Are they maybe pressed there because maybe you are threatened to get into prison or whatever?
Yeah, I would never go anywhere that the United States or any of its allies could put their hands on me unless I was armed. You know, my family, I don't think that they've been really, I mean, it's quite possible that they've been contacted, but I mean, they haven't been arrested or threatened or anything like that. I don't think. But it's possible, you know, the government of the United States can do anything it wants these days, and I mean, it's really a lawless regime, and you know, so there's nothing that's beyond their.
There are stories. Remember that the guys who came here, they were asked.
Oh yes, now yes, some people that friends of mine that have come here, not to fight, just to come and see, were interviewed by the FBI when they got back.
What did they ask?
Well, they were tried to be interviewed. My friends took my advice and said, I'm not going to say anything, and so there was really no interview. The FBI wanted to, but they said, no, you can talk to my lawyer, and so they didn't say nothing.
Remember that guy, that young kid who came, that he was questioned on the border, met by someone,
Yeah, I mean, so it's, you know, the American government is very much trying to discourage people from coming and seeing the truth themselves. They're trying to discourage the truth from getting out. I mean, the censorship that's going on in the West right now is really ridiculous. It's quite blatant, and you know, so they're just trying to stifle the truth any way they can. And you know, by terrorizing people with police, it's one of their methods.
As far as I know, you started as a soldier, and like parallelly you started to be a war correspondent. And how did you get this idea to start to be a correspondent, and how was it going, like in process? And do you think that, as far as I know, that you mostly like had the purpose to bring this truth to Western people? And do you think that your work has broken this wall of not being informed by what is going on here? Do you think you have succeeded in breaking this wall?
Yes, I do. The videos and interviews that I have done, I've been on television in the United States, in Australia, in Russia, in Donbass, and in Ukraine, on, you know, nationwide networks multiple times. The videos that I have made with ВСÖМ and others, Graham Phillips, even one with the Vice News, have been seen millions of times. And I think that I've helped open a lot of Americans' eyes about what's really going on here. There is now people in the United States that know and talk about this war, and that try and do things about it politically in the States, or they help support our humanitarian work here with Donbass Human Aid.
Alternative radio.
Yeah, radio stations. I mean, I've written articles that have been published, major websites. I've done radio shows, television shows, made my own videos. Pretty much every way that you can communicate, I have communicated with a lot of people through every different kind of way that you can talk.
And how did you start that very first?
What happened in the summer of 2015, the unit that I was with, ВСÖМ, when they retired from Spartak frontline position, they became part of the Han Battalion Spetsnaz. And That was because of our combat record, our skill as soldiers, our reputation, and it was very serious. It's the 1st Spetsnaz battalion of the DPR. But at that time I was 55 years old. I was getting a little bit too old to do, you know, ninja acrobat type stuff, which is really what they do. They're radveshkas. They go far to where they're needed. Fast reaction force, very, you know, real Spetsnaz soldiers. And at that time when I was in Han Battalion, I made a couple of videos with the Suit Remedy Information Unit about the bombing of a home in Gorlovka of the Tuv family. Anna Tuv lived in a house in northern Gorlovka. Her house got bombed one day with heavy artillery 152. Her 10-year-old daughter got killed. Her husband got killed. She lost an arm in the attack. Her house was destroyed. And we made a couple of videos about that, one at her house and then one interviewing her at the hospital a few days later. And it got well over 500,000 views just in a few days. So they, you know, Han Battalion understood the importance of information warfare, and they understood my ability to communicate with the Western audience in a way that very few people here could. You know, I mean, it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have had such the reach in the West if it hadn't been an American talking, you know. And so I started getting less and less as a soldier, you know, as a combat soldier, and more into information warfare. And eventually I just decided to do that, information warfare and humanitarian aid, full-time on my own. And so I just kind of transitioned from soldier into information soldier.
And the very first steps when you were filming on positions on your phone.
Oh yeah. And when I was at the airport in early 2015, I made a few videos that are actually pretty cool now. I'm glad. And just like on my phone, they were very, you know, just very shaky, and you know, but you really gave the feeling of what it was like there. You could see the bomb craters all around the position. You could hear the artillery working right in the area, and that was really some of the first ones I did. It was just on my own, because I've always understood that, you know, war is really just politics carried on by other means, and you know, part of politics is public opinion. And you know, really the best way to end this war and to end the larger war that's going on all around the world is to convince the American people that what their government is doing is wrong, and for them to take responsibility for it, because people in the end are responsible for their government, whether they like it or not. And if they don't like it, they have an obligation to change it. And so what I've been doing is trying to convince the American people to pay attention to what their government is doing, and if they don't like it, to do what they have to do to change it. Just like the people in Donbass didn't like what the Maidan regime in Kiev was doing, so they did what they had to do to resist it, you know. And of course, you know, first there's talking, then there's voting, then there's, you know, peaceful resistance, and then there's, you know, non-violent resistance, and then there's violent resistance. If nothing else will stop it. So what we've done here, 4 years later, we still exist. The Republic still exists. We've been successful so far. They haven't been able to beat us militarily, and I think that the people and the soldiers, the defenders of Donbass, the Donetsk People's Republic, Lugansk People's Republic, you know, we're not going to we're not going to betray what we have fought here for here, what so many good people have died for. We're not going to give it up. We have won our freedom, and we will make our own self-determination, or die trying.
About the PR, that about people, about everything. What do you like? What is going here? And honestly, what you do not like?
Well, I can say that for the 4 years that I've been here, life has gotten better for most people, for average people, every year. It's of course not ideal by any means, but we are really in a war situation here. But life has gotten better every single year. I remember in 2014, Donetsk was almost deserted. There was little food in the stores. There was few cars on the roads. You didn't see people out or anything. And now in the center of the city, it's almost like a normal city. The outskirts of the city and the districts that are close to the front, it's still very much reminders of war almost every day. But life has gotten better here, and the people here are really very cultured. They're very kind, generous, friendly. They've been very welcoming to me here. They're very well educated. I have more friends, more Russian friends here that have read Jack London or Fenimore Cooper or Mark Twain than I do American friends. And that's a good indication of the level of culture that they have here. And they're great people. There's no place in the world that I would rather be. There's nothing in the world that I would rather be doing than what I'm doing right now. And so I'm very happy here. As far as things that I don't like, there's really not too much that I don't like. Since Zakharchenko has died, the political future seems to be very much kind of uncertain. But the people are strong, the army is strong. That our republic will continue to exist is certain, but who's going to lead it is not clear yet. The war here is just one of the front lines on the war that's going on all around the world today. It's already a real war between the West against Russia. It's a military war, it's an economic war, it's an information war, it's a cultural war. And as I've said since 2015, as goes Donbass, so goes the world. The people that are defending Donbass are not just defending their homes and families here. They are defending the Russian Federation, and they are defending the hope of a multicultural world. It would be a terrible danger to the Russian Federation if all of Ukraine was to become under the command of the US and NATO. The fact that the Donbass has resisted has prevented Ukraine from being able to join NATO, because no country can join NATO that's got conflict. So it's a good thing that the people of Donbass have stood up and defended themselves, and what they're defending goes far, far beyond the borders of DNR and LNR.